So today, this is something that's been very valuable to me as a real estate agent over the years when I do it. So things that you do every day so that you can become better and better as a real estate agent and a sales professional. Now, this one has to do about knowing your market. Now, there's a lot of different things you can do to know your market. You know, you can tour properties, you can go to open houses, you can host open houses, you can just actually drive around neighborhoods. But there's one thing that I've done fairly consistently: minutes in the morning, and then usually minutes midday and minutes at the end day. And there's a couple reasons why I do that. Number one is to know the market. Number two is to know the market so that I can help provide better information to my buyers and sellers. So this is one of the items. I'm going to jump into it. And I've got my dashboard set up in a specific way. I've enlarged it so you can see it a little more easily. And I usually have my market monitor up here in the left-hand side. So just because, you know, top left, that's where you read words in a book. And that happens to be, for me, the thing that's most important. And the other side I've got set up is any feedback that you requested or feedback that you've received, and then confirmed appointments, and then appointments on my listings up on the right-hand side. I've got contact activity on the left side, which those are the folks that are in my client portal. Clients that are either buyers and sellers, and they're looking at properties. So I can see a client here has visited a site 7 times, 2 times, 1 time. So if I can see them frequenting the site, means that they're either more interested in making a move, and then I could, of course, reach out to them by phone or maybe shooting them a property. And then this down right-hand side, we've got the power search up at the top, which is usually like an address or an MLS. If I want to do kind of a quick search, that's going to be the information that's found here. And then if I want to do a full search, I'm going to go to the icon or the button 2 over that from the home button that says search, and then go into more detail there. Now, this is the part that I really want to get to. So one of the things that I would do every morning, sometimes midday and at the end of the day, one of the first things I would do is my information. So I'm going to pull up the listings that I have. And I don't know why this has always been this way, this withdrawn. There's like 80 of them. It goes back to like the beginning of time. So 20 some years worth of withdrawn listings are listed there. But I'm also going to go in and I'm going to check on the properties that I have listed. And I'm just going to make sure that, number one, they're still active. And then 2, to just make sure everything seems like it's okay. Now, I had one this weekend that was withdrawn because they're going to rent it. I would want to make sure every morning that that's not on there. So that's one thing that you should do in the morning. And then I'm going to go to the market again, and I may want to look up the expireds every morning. Of course, this is more than we've seen in the last 2 years. You may or may not have expertise in expired listings, but one thing that, even if you don't, it might be something that you specialize in a neighborhood, or maybe you know the owners who have the property and want to reach out to them. So maybe you won't call all of them, but there might be something that, oh, my client, I have a client that wants a property in Wentworth. And then I could reach out to that client. Number one, see if it's been relisted, and then I could reach out to that client and see if they would be willing to reshow the property. I cannot call a buyer or seller and say that I have it listed, or even really talk about the property itself until I have authorization from the current owner. All right. So I would kind of look through these, and I see there's a lot for 96.9. Some of these might have been relisted already this morning. I would want to look those up before I went too far. So I'm going to just simply go through those and see if any of them pertain to a buyer seller that I have, or any that would be in a neighborhood that I specialize in, right? And then one came back on the market. Let's see if that's one of the ones that was listed. Liberty and Harrisburg, that was not one. And then any price changes. In this market, again, we're starting to see price ranges where we haven't in the past. So I would just maybe take a look at all these, see if it would make sense for any of my clients. Here's one in Brandon. Now that's where I'm from. So I would have a little bit of interest in knowing what's going on with this one. Heritage in Brandon. So it's a business. Could be used by someone who has a business, or maybe someone who collects vehicles or has some kind of collection of some sort. So I actually am familiar with this building. You can see this, whoever owns it right now maybe does not use it as a business. They just use it for storage. Let's check on the price reduction on that one. Looks like it was reduced $21,000. All right. So I would start to, kind of think which one of my clients might have some interest in this, and give them a call and just make reference to it. I'm going to kind of see who's got it listed. I'm going to run down, see how many days it's been on the market, which you'll find at the bottom of the first section, or you'll find it in history. So you're just more or less building your base, your knowledge base as to prices, price reduction, kind of see what's all going on. And then I would go into the solds. Again, I'm not going to go through each one of these, but I have an idea of what properties are selling for, because you can see just the arrows. So you've got the list prices, and then you can see that the sale price was less than the list price, sale price less, sell price less, two above. So we know that there's still a couple that are properties still selling above list, but there would be 5 less and 2 more. So that gives you a little gauge of just where the market is going, right? Now, keep in mind, that's the properties when they're under contract 30 to 45 days ago. So that may not be current to today, because that's when they closed, all right? They closed today. But the activity actually happened 30 to 45 days ago. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go through those solds. Sometimes I might just look at the property addresses, and knowing what is going on in those areas and knowing my neighborhoods, I could go in and see if any of them pertain to either my interest, my client interest, or my neighborhoods. So this South Canyon Avenue, I know that's Copper Creek. That's an area where I sell houses, has some interest in. So I'm going to kind of go into that one. Look at the agent that sold it. The other thing is, I'm going to go into history. I'm going to look at the prices, 662, then it was reduced to 649, and then finally sold for 630. So I can see about a $32,000 change from their list price. Check out the property itself by looking at the pictures. Usually I don't spend a lot of time reading on it unless it really interests me, but that's kind of the market review that I'll do on those properties. Okay. And then finally, this is the most important one, is the new listings. This is the one I'll go into about 3 times a day. Now, you can set that these new listings are displayed to you, and you can do that in your settings. Now, I believe it's by price. The default standard is by price. So every time it comes up, if I had a $25,000 listing, that would be first. And I would have to look at that one every single time if I did that 3 times a day. Well, my question was, why can't I set it up in a way that I don't have to go and look at the same one over and over and over? I can just look at the ones until I know that I'd seen the previous listing. So there's a way that you can go into your settings and you can set it up. One way to do it would be by MLS number. Wouldn't be ideal, depending on when somebody updated it or when they saved it. But you could have like a status date. But the way it is now is it kind of shows the ones that are new listings and then what the recent status change, this under contract at the very top. And then it goes into the new. So this is one that I would go ahead and click through each one to review. And so we've got the history on this one. So 707-23, it was input. And then the very next minute, it was under contract. So what does that mean? That means it's sold before print. And then they put that, they indicated here, sold before print. But that gave me an indication. It ended up at the top of my list. Now, just as an example, this morning there was only one listing at 7:30 when I started work, and this was the listing, Litsky Place. So if there were 30 and I had already seen 15, there was not going to be a bookmark, but I would know really from my, just memory that I already saw Litsky Place. And then I would just quit going through the list. So what that does is saves you a lot of time. So I do that 2 or 3 times a day. I'm going to just go through those recent, like 10 to 15 to 30 with a mere 10 minutes 3 times a day, or 5 minutes 3 times a day, depending on what detail you want to go into. You'll gain a lot of market knowledge for yourself and your clients. So if someone brings up a property and they said, maybe I would want to call the client that maybe would have interest in the South Florence. Or if she called me, I could say, oh yeah, I saw that. I just noticed it wasn't a walkout. I thought you really wanted to walk out. Or it looked like it was a split foyer to me. And she might say, well, it was a ranch. But at least she knows that I'm looking out for her. And then I'm thinking of her needs. You could go into your client portal from there, see what clients are looking at properties, because at the very top of your list of clients, those are the ones that have looked at a property most recently. But this is not only just to look up MLS properties and find out what the features and prices are, but they're also to help you sell more real estate and to meet clients' needs. I hope you've understood how that could enhance your business, make you more money, and service your clients better. Thank you so much and good luck. Please institute what you saw today for yourself, for your clients, and for your family's well-being. Thank you.